Belgian formation Thorium has already surprised me with their previous album. They make power metal, and with a new album coming out, it was time to check in with them. Enjoy the interview.
Congratulations with the upcoming release of the album. Or wait, it is released, right? Now I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, it was released on the 16th of November, so
Ah,
last month.
yes.
It's been
Cool.
out for like a couple of weeks, 4 weeks now. And it's doing great. It's doing really well so far. So we're really happy about that, really excited.
Cool. Can you tell me a little bit about creating this release? How did that go?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, it's usually a process, especially these days, that we do at home for the most part. So as far as I'm concerned, I always have my guitars handy. They just lie about the place like everywhere. So I just have to grab a guitar at any time and start jamming and start riffing away and everything. Um, and seeing as how I really love to write music, I think it's probably one of the top one or two or three things that I most love to do in life is writing music and creating songs and writing lyrics and such also. Um, and I think the second album, so the album before this one, was created right before Corona, and then of course then COVID hit, which postponed everything a little bit. But I'd say most of this album and also the next one, actually, because it's a two-parter. So the album is called Extraordinary Journeys Part 1. So
Yeah.
there's also Part 2 coming along, which I think for, let's say, 80%, 85%, maybe more, was already written and is a sort of, demoed and is in a sort of a pre-production kind of stage. So I think most of it was written during Corona, and then we did the actual production, so the actual recordings, and then the vocal production with all the backings and the everything that a production like this needs. We did I think in the second half of 2022, so post Corona, and so yeah, we're celebrating this release. And actually already hard at work on the next one. So album number 4, Extraordinary Journeys Part 2. Which unfortunately it won't be coming out in 2024. So like fans of the album and fans of the band will have to be a little bit patient. But it is set for release in 2025, the second part.
Okay, nice. That's interesting to hear because when I was listening to the album, I was thinking a little bit what could be the story behind it. It almost felt to me like it's an album that tells about like some European tour or something, because like traveling and such.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is that, and I don't know if it was inspired maybe subconsciously by Corona and sitting at home and everything.
Mm.
In hindsight, maybe perhaps, but seeing as how the title is Extraordinary Journeys,
Yeah.
I think during the songwriting process, I or we didn't have like an album title, set in stone or anything like that. We were just bouncing around several ideas. And somehow, for some reason, like I said, maybe Corona, lockdown related. Who can say? I don't know, but maybe partly inspired by that whole period in time that everyone, I think, suffered through, or had to get through somehow, at least. I started to notice that lyrically and everything, the whole thing went into like a direction of like traveling and ancient mythology and journeys of exploration, both externally and internally, because it's easy to draw like parallels to like personal life and stuff like that. But yeah, I think the title Extraordinary Journeys itself actually came from Jules Verne, because Jules Verne, as most people will know, the 19th century author of 20,000 Leagues Under the Seas, Around the World in 80 Days, Journey to the Moon, Journey to the Center of the Earth, like sort of science fiction before there even was science fiction. And of course, an immensely, inspirational writer, for me at least. His works, so his novels, appeared under the French title Le Voyage Extraordinaire. and that's where I took the title from. And because there were so many songs and so many ideas and so many, lyrical ideas coming out of that period, out of the COVID period, the Corona period, I was like, well, why not do sort of like a loosely themed album around amazing journeys, extraordinary journeys, extraordinary voyages, things like that. So there is one song on there that is actually literally Jules Verne. It's Around the World in 80 Days, which is, I think, track 3, Across the Nations. And everything else is just, people, going on, journeys of exploration and self-discovery and discovery in general. So it's not a concept album. There's no central characters. There's no overarching storyline, nothing like that. But there is that big theme of, heading out there into the world and exploring, discovering, and then seeing what's out there.
So, like maybe at some point, if you did some European tour, you can write even a part 3.
Who knows? Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. The thing is, it is kind of set in stone that there will be a part 2.
Yeah.
But of course, a part 3. Why not? So releasing a part 1, we realize like we already are getting questions from fans, from people like, hey, when is part 2 coming out? Which actually was sort of the idea also, because on one hand you had this multitude of songs and ideas that came out of that COVID period, actually more than enough for even 2 albums. So we kind of have a spillover for a 5th album, Thorium 5, at this point, which might be Extraordinary Journeys Part 3, who'll say, maybe somewhere down the road. But I think also from a promotional standpoint, it is interesting to name something Part 1, because at that point everyone is wondering or is going like, oh, there's going to be a Part 2. But yeah, Part 3, who knows? I'd love to do it, because I think it is sort of interesting and really rewarding as a songwriter to do things in different parts, and to be like all conceptual and oh, this is part 1 and there's going to be a part 2, maybe a part 3. Though at the same time, looking at the lyrics for this album and looking back on the first record and the second one, it is kind of the sort of lyrical themes that we do often have that I really love to explore, like history and mythology and stuff like that. But yeah, part 1, part 2 is coming, and part 3, we'll see.
Okay. And now this is your third album. Can you tell me a little bit on where's the biggest progress for you as a band if you compare to like previous releases?
Oh well, I think for me personally, like taking charge of the production and everything, so the recordings and the vocal production and the all the communication around mixing and mastering and stuff like that. I think for me the biggest thing, the biggest area of progress, at least, is in the production. Like everything sounds bigger. There's more overdubs. There's more acoustic guitars. More stuff that I learned from doing other kinds of stuff as well, like entering Polaris, which is sort of my, don't know if you've heard about that, but it's my other thing aside from Thorium. And I did 4 albums with that one also during Corona. The first 2 of which were released this year, and 2024 we'll see the next double release. And I actually learned a lot about improving things production-wise and recording-wise from doing that. And luckily I was able to transfer that to Thorium 3, hopefully also Thorium 4. So yeah, there's loads more backing vocals, there's more harmony vocals and choirs, different vocalists, you're hearing different vocalists in the backing vocals in the choirs, so everything sounds bigger and wider. And I think the songs, especially when compared to the first album, was really sort of really traditional, melodic, heavy metal. And I think a lot of this record is much more progressive. It's modern. It sounds a bit more modern. There really is a progressive edge to a lot of the songs. So I think during the time of the first album, which was like 2018, it was like, very Maiden, Priest, new wave British heavy metal inspired, that kind of thing. And at this point, I think everything looks and sounds and feels more modern and I think more adventurous. Also in keeping with the theme, of course, of extraordinary journeys, naturally.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Your most recent single was Nightfall. Can you
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about this track?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, in keeping with the overarching theme, like, classic adventure stories and science fiction and fantasy stories and stuff like that. Um, what I really always tend to do or try to do is really avoid cliches like the plague. So there's no dragons, there's no castles, there's no knights in shining armor, and nothing like that. What there is stuff like Nightfall, which was inspired by I think the 1941, I think it was, a short story of the same name by Isaac Asimov, who was like, for those who don't know, Asimov, he was one of the so-called big three, along with Robert Heinlein and my own personal favorite, Arthur C. Clarke. I mean, these were some of the earliest, some of the biggest science fiction writers of their day. We're talking like 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, all through the 1980s and 90s. And the story is about a hypothetical world orbiting through and around six suns, which sounds really sort of fantastical and everything. But interestingly enough, ironically enough, in the meantime, with like the Hubble telescope and now with James Webb telescope and everything, for those who are into astronomy and cosmology and stuff like that, we actually have found out that there are like not only binary star systems, there are triple star systems, hypothetically up to like 7, 8, 9 stars. So Asimov was kind of sort of prescient in that sense. So it's about this world orbiting these six suns, and there's a scientist, an astronomer who kind of finds out, or he gets put on the track of, oh my God, our society appears to be like highly cyclical somehow. And he does some digging and he does some exploring again, and it turns out that every few, or at least it seems to be so, that every few millennia, every several thousand years, something mysterious happens which appears to reset their society back to like the Stone Age level. So some sort of cataclysm or some sort of catastrophe or something like that. And he does more and more, exploration and more calculation and stuff like that. And whatever it is that appears to befall that world of theirs, which because it orbits six suns, it doesn't know night. The inhabitants of society do not know what darkness, what night is. That it's something they're not accustomed to. And he finds out that oh my God, this thing, whatever it is that's going to happen, is right around the corner. So some sort of cataclysm is just right about to happen. And of course, he tries to warn everyone, and everyone ridicules him. Nobody believes him. And eventually, as it happens, a solar eclipse comes to pass, eclipsing the only sun in the night sky at that point, which appears to be an event that only happens every number of millennia. And of course, darkness falls, and everyone loses their minds. Everyone goes completely insane. People set fires, and society is reset back to Stone Age level once again, as it has been for many, many times during their history. So it really is kind of I don't know. I think sort of a warning in a certain sense, to not take things too much for granted. The story is really kind of ironic. There's a lot of humor in there, and I think on a personal level, it's also kind of relatable, because if you only know the light, and at a certain point, you experience kind of a hint of darkness, how to cope with that. What do you do when confronted with something huge and cataclysmic like that? And of course, we had great fun in the video, because I don't know if you saw the music video.
Yeah, I saw it.
Great. Yeah, so we had great fun, trying to sort of visualize that story, kind of try and work out the scenario and everything. So we have the scientist, we have this actor from Belgium here, taking on the role of the mad scientist, and his hair is all like wavy and wobbly, and he's calculating what's about to happen and when it's going to happen. And eventually in the video you actually see the eclipse, so the band is playing in the dark. And so yeah, we had a great fun with that one, both the song itself as well as the music video.
Well, yeah, I saw it. I was wondering about the location a little bit. Looks like some military place or something.
Oh well, it's in Holland actually. It's Ostrom Westerbork.
Okay,
So
right.
Yeah, it's I think for us, from heading from Flanders, it was like a 3-hour drive or something like that. And it's actually a place where our singer David Marcelis, who's from Holland also, he actually did a photo shoot there at some point.
Okay.
But a long time ago with one of his other bands, I think like easily 10 years ago or something like that. And I was actually looking into locations, because it's something that I do enjoy doing, like not having the band in like an industrial location or like an abandoned warehouse, like a lot of bands do, especially these days. But I really enjoy kind of trying to figure out and trying to arrange these really eye-catching locations, like you see in the video. Now, originally I was looking into a location in Germany, but for various reasons that couldn't go ahead. And it was our singer who said, like, "Hey Tom, why don't you look into this location in Westerbork?" Because I was looking into locations like around Belgium or Holland or Europe or wherever, that had something to do with astronomy, cosmology, so like stellar observatory stuff and things like that. And I thought, like, yeah, this actually, as an alternative location, this would be perfect, because you have like the big, huge satellite dishes and everything. And it really was the idea from the onset to have the actor playing the sort of the mad scientist type person, at work in like a study or like his library, something like that, and to have the band at this like big outside exterior location. The hint being that the band is playing outside where the scientist is doing his research and working. So yeah, that was that's in Holland, and it really was. It's a beautiful location. Yeah, it really made the video sort of eye-catching, I think.
Yeah, I can say yeah. I will link it somewhere here for the people who are watching.
Awesome, thank you, great.
Yeah. I think then I wanted to ask a little bit about Gladiator, because for me it's sort of I think the one that jumped out to me. It has so much variation in the song. Can you tell me a little bit about this track?
Oh, cool! Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my favorites too. It's sort of in two parts, because you have the song Gladiator itself, and then of course preceding it is the track Morituri te salutant, which it's kind of a gladiatorial cliche that the gladiator is like the thing with the thumb, like live, die, that kind of thing. Which in all honesty, it is kind of Hollywood-ish. I don't know which historical source it was traceable to, but I think, long story short, that it's really improbable that the gladiators back in the day, like 2 millennia ago, actually said that to the emperor. That little phrase like "Morituri te salutant," which means, like, for those about to die, we salute you. We offer you this last greeting before we're about to perish in the arena. Also, a little known fact, which is sort of a quasi recent sort of discovery, because people always assume that the gladiatorial combat in ancient Rome was always to the death, which usually it wasn't, actually, because apart from, I'm not trying to give people a history lesson here, but I've always been fascinated with ancient Rome and ancient societies, and Rome especially. But apparently, as it turns out, Usually gladiatorial combat was not a fight to the death because it was simply too expensive to train these gladiators. So it was apparently, historians now think at least, that apparently it had more akin to sort of WWF, like the wrestling kind of thing,
Yeah.
like a lot of spectacle and a lot of humdrum, but not nearly as bloody or as horrific as as people used to think. So that's actually one of the things that the song is about. So it's about the gladiatorial games. It's also about society of Rome, and also, yeah, I think it kind of there's a little bit of societal criticism in there. I think, like the idea of bread and games, panem et circenses, like keep people's minds occupied, keep them entertained, and keep their stomachs full. And sort of in a political sense, you can do whatever you want because people are happy, they're well fed, they're entertained. So that sort of layer is a little bit in there as well. But I think for the most part, that song was me just, I think, having fun with the idea of like this big epic sounding intro, the instrumental intro preceding the song Gladiator, writing like this really bombastic, pompous song that kind of I think personified that feel of like the classic Hollywood stuff, like Quo Vadis with Peter Ustinov, like the Spartacus stuff, things like that. So yeah, I think it was just me having fun with my fascination for Rome and ancient Rome, especially. And I really had great fun with the lyrics and programming the choirs and stuff like that. And there's like big horns in there, like so yeah. It's a fun romp, and it also is, like you said, it's one of the more slightly complex songs that are on there. So there's a lot of acoustic breaks and stuff like that, tempo changes all around. So yeah, and it's incidentally it's our opening song live at this point. So we open with the intro track Morituri, and then we break into Gladiator, and it's just wildly fun to play. It's just a romp. It's amazing. So yeah, that's definitely a fun one.
Yeah, I think I saw you play one time in the past year, but can't remember if I heard the song from
Oh,
there.
you saw us live?
Yeah, in Ada.
Oh yeah. Ada, that was in when was that?
Restaurant with Misanthropia.
Oh yeah. That was before the release of the record, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, long before, because I had to think because we've been doing a couple of shows these past few weeks. So that's when we started playing Gladiator. So it really is just a new addition to the set. But yeah, that song it's actually kind of a topic that I wanted to write a song about for a long time, like in ancient Rome and gladiatorial games and yeah, I just love that kind of atmosphere and the old Hollywood flicks about Rome and everything. Even with the historical inaccuracies, I just love this kind of stuff. So yeah, wonderful.
Okay, cool. Well, I can continue to my last question because Zoom is warning me that we've been talking already too long.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. So that last question I ask everyone is: do you have a Christmas wish or some wisdom to share with the world?
Oh, Christmas wish. Yeah, because I see your beautiful Christmas tree behind you there. Yeah. Well, maybe not a Christmas wish per se. Although we do have like a Christmas show planned, not on the 24th, but on the 23rd this month. So that should be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think at this point, maybe not very Christmas related, but definitely like future related and 2024 related. So New Year's related. I think yeah, we're really hoping to grow, again as a band and live and everything, and to find a lot of new fans with this record, which is something you always hope to do with every new release. And yeah, I'd say if you're on YouTube and you're watching this interview, and you don't know Thorium yet, you don't know that this is the first time that people hear about the band, I'd say check us out. You can find the music everywhere: Spotify, YouTube. You can find the music videos like Nightfall and everything. And yeah, I'm not sure if that counts as sort of a Christmas wisdom, but it is kind of a Christmas wish. Let's put it that way. Yeah,
Okay, cool. Thank you very much for your time and your words. Thank you.
absolutely. Thanks for the interview.